I'm Natrix for life, and I approve this message. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all had a good week, refreshed yourself, and came back for more. Just to recap, we are discussing autism and having it fit with My Little Pony Friendship is Magic characters in various chapters. If you missed the premiere I kicked off on World Autism Awareness Day, no worries, you can find the link to that in this video's description.
Surprise! Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie and I threw this party just for you! Were you surprised? Were you?
Pinkie Pie is a special case. As we can all obviously note, she loves parties and celebrations, and shows characteristics of being the physical embodiment of laughter and happiness. I'm not laughing. Why am I not laughing? First off, Pinkie Pie may possess not one but 3 disorders, these being hyperactive behavior, autism, and depression. Like I promised y'all last week, this is going to be a long ride, so strap in and let's go ahead and explore autism with hyperactivity first. Some fellow ASD or Aspie YouTubers and bronies, or Pegasisters, have suspected Pinkie to be autistic, and to debut my evidence, in the best night ever, Pinkie Pie's expectations were in comparison to her fellow Ponyville friends. Yes and no. It's true that, like her friends, her expectations failed to be met, but she was expecting a certain setting to take place. Her idea of a party was jumping around and acting crazy. Since Canterlot and the ponies that resided there were used to a regal setting, to have an out-of-towner suddenly crash, see where I'm going with this? Pinkie Pie may be autistic because she isn't able to read the room, which is something that a lot of autistic people struggle with, myself included. Furthermore, she brings her Ponyville personality where it doesn't belong and ruins the orchestra show taking place in the Canterlot Palace. While all of the ponies playing were disrupted, one particular pony playing the cello was the most bothered. Remember how I mentioned Octavia possibly finding cello performing soothing and relaxing? How in the world would you feel if you were just in the zone and suddenly some crazy person or pony disrupts you out of nowhere? I'd be mad too, though on top of all that, I'd be a hypocrite given that I've been in both Pinkie Pie and Octavia's hooves. Going full circle with the violin player again, it's hard to pinpoint whether this is a clue explaining Octavia's possible autism. Yet, activities I've done I've been disrupted at in the past, and these activities aren't what I would call stress relievers, which is why my initial response is to laugh it off or just stopped in that casual upon finding myself in those scenarios. Last note on the matter, and perhaps needless to say, within this episode The Best Night Ever, Rainbow Dash constantly tries to get the attention of by impressing Wonderbolt, Flyers, Soren, and Spitfire, which, trying to constantly garner attention like that to me comes off as an autistic characteristic. And I'm starting to realize, hey, I could have so mentioned this last week, why didn't I? But it doesn't really matter. We are covering it now. It's true that at a young age, kids tend to want to be the center, Nero or not. And it's pretty unheard of to see a Nero teen or a young adult trying to get attention like that, which is a complete flop of Rainbow Dash's personality traits. It's one thing to want to impress, but it's a whole other thing trying to nag. In Rainbow Dash's defense, it takes a lot to become a Wonderbolt, showing off your tricks, methods, and all that awesome stuff. But the conclusion I bring forth is that she's trying too hard, and I more than can relate. And then there is Twilight Sparkle's part in the episode, but we will cover that in a few weeks. This is Pinkie's time to shine, for crying out loud. Everyone and every pony on the spectrum has something that they like fidgeting or messing with. Admit it, it's some inanimate object that you hold dear, and cherish and may consider a security blanket at best. I'm merely speculating when I say the reason for these fidgety things may be that we as autistic people find them at a young age and to be more like friends where we do not excel or avail at social skills. Maybe it's a pencil. Maybe it's a Rubik's Cube. Or maybe it's a Pinkie Pie plush. We will go on further with this clue by breaking it up into 3 parts. First, we are going to discuss the episode Party 1, where Pinkie's depression falls into place. After feeling abandoned by her friends and getting depressed as a result, the party planner finds that objects like a bucket of turnips, a bag of flour, and a cairn make for better companions. Maybe long before she saw a sonic rainboom on a rock farm, these inanimate and animate objects were the closest things she had as friends, and only used them as a last resort in the most dire of situations once she made real friends and started coordinating parties. I know it sounds silly, but it's the best explanation I can give. Now we will explore this with Season 2, Episode 9, Sweet and Elite. During one moment of the show, Pinkie Pie tells the main five that she goes everywhere with her beloved party cannon, which may serve as her current favorite inanimate object. I've got one of those security blankets, and it's not worth my time diving into it, but I used to find I would take it everywhere and do it constantly. Oh, and let me make this clear. Don't ask what it is, because I'm not going to tell you and you'll be wasting your time. Thanks! Jumping to the gift of the Mod Pie, every chance for Pinkie to get Mod a rock pouch is to no avail, until she runs into a pony with the exact one she knows will benefit her sister. He offers to give it to her in exchange for none other than her beloved party cannon. Pinkie reluctantly gives up her inanimate companion to surprise her sister. More on Mod later. We're about to go really deep. Remember Pinkie's early days on the rock farm? She yearned for something better. Pinkie's life was gray, and she may not have been comfortable with socializing. But then, out of the blue, a miracle explodes before her eyes. The sonic rainboom. Pinkie was inspired, and she felt like her life had meaning. She started throwing parties and ended up being nothing like the rest of her immediate family. Sometimes, I feel like autistic people need a push or some sign to get somewhere, socially or otherwise. I say this because I have found myself needing a motivator to stay resilient, for most, if not all things, including one very special series of videos I bring to your attention. Autism for me is beneficial, and yet it's also balanced out with some downsides or inconveniences. For Pinkie Pie, the sonic rainboom was that motivator. Unlike her friends, it didn't just change her life for the better. She was a completely different pony. Okay, I might interrupt myself really quickly and say, this whole essay I have not laughed once. Have you noticed that? I am immune to Pinkie's contagious laughter and other positive energy and totally hate it. So, let's hope for all our sakes that before this video is over, I laugh at least once. Cause so far, I've been a sour grape and no one appears to like those. Apologies for bringing up something irrelevant and quite frankly goofy. It won't happen again. It won't happen again. This thought occurred just now. The party pony does not have to be autistic or show signs for any specific reason. Can't a character just be autistic without some big explanation or background behind it? Pinkie Pie is just weird. She is socially awkward for the heck of it, and there is no good reason for it. She literally fell to pieces just seconds after expressing overexcitement towards a baby shower. She appears out of nowhere at random times. She has a pinky sense, where various parts of her will twitch as a predicted sign of danger. The list goes on. And we continue with simple clues further on. In the episode of Friend Indeed, Pinkie Pie couldn't get over the fact that a Ponyville newcomer, Cranky Doodle, wasn't willing to give her laughter a chance. And by laughter, I mean all forms of positive energy. As a result, she keeps trying to force the friendship with Cranky. Uh-oh, that almost sounds like me at times. Pinkie also tries intervening between Cranky and his long-lost wife he finally ran into again. That makes 2 strikes for me. If this is you too, don't beat yourself up. Just keep in mind, all of us ASD people make mistakes, and it's never too late to learn from them. For everyone watching right now, allow me to make you aware of one of my main mistakes. Y'all ready? To do this, we'll back up to when I said Pinkie Pie was forcing the friendships and how I wasn't innocent of that. Sometimes I exhaust and wear out friendships even when I don't mean to. And this doesn't come without a looming guilt. But a special friend of mine taught me 3 words that fare me well and have possibly made me a little better. Mistakes are lessons. If I have any autistic viewers out there, any at all, kid, teenager, adult, dog, random cardboard box, Fuse that into your mind. And again, remember, it's never too late to learn, but also, based on experience with former mistakes, it's never a form of hypocrisy to teach and to guide. In the episode Pinkie Pride, she feels left out when Cheese Sandwich comes around and literally takes over a job and special talent as Ponyville's infamous party planner. Have I felt left out for such things in the past? Totally. The episode Yakety Sax unravels Pinkie's love for bagpipe playing. The party pony was so absorbed in her new hobby, she didn't even understand that it was bothering those around her, her beloved friends included. Now, I feel like I have struggled with being able to read others' emotions before, especially at a younger age. Furthermore, the episode goes on to show the main five telling Pinkie her bagpipe playing is a wasted talent she isn't gifted in. Initially, she seems to take this well, but later her friends notice how such words made her depressed. She just didn't express it at first. This is in relation to an attribute I previously felt, where I will bury my true emotions from an audience or social setting and substitute it with another. We've had a lot of these so far, but here's another little side note for everyone. If you have an autistic person in your midst in any given situation at any time, they may suddenly shut down for any reason, and when asked how they are doing, they may just dismiss it as, "I'm okay" or "it's all good," something along those lines. But it's not all good, obviously. There are a couple of possible explanations I have for this. The first being a panic attack, something that was actually covered in the World Autism Awareness Day official premiere of this essay. And while this is up to debate, I am more interested in a second explanation, being what I call social overload. Think of it as being like a sort of cousin figure to panic attacks, but the root of the issue narrows down to just social situations. And just so we are not getting ahead of ourselves, it's true that when someone says they are happy, they may genuinely feel that, and it can get rather difficult to make the distinction. So if you feel like you must know or are just curious, go over to powerpositivity.com/11 signs someone is hiding their feelings. I would go over all 11 in this chapter alone, as I have read them, but we are stretching this essay a little too much, and it's important that we don't stray too far. So even though Pinkie isn't one of my favorite characters, me and Pinkie are on a relatable scale in that way. Okay, so who wants some insight on the making of this video? This is actually not my first time making the audio edits for this chapter, believe it or not, though I'm doing it for two reasons. I lost the original audio file, and it felt right to go back and tweak this anyway. But that's besides the point. One night while making work on the original audio recording, I got my beautiful mother on board with this episode's story, explaining that Pinkie's Yavitaphone playing was annoying to the ponies around here, and this is what my mom had to say.
First of all, I want to say how excited I am to be part of this project. I'm so very proud of you, and I think this is going to have a real impact in the world for real people. So, with regard to Pinkie Pie in that episode, rather than tell Pinkie that she was being disruptive to her friends and others around her, her friends came forth to tell her that she's not good at playing the Yavitaphone and that she shouldn't waste her time doing something that she's not gifted in. Literally, they told her that she stinks and that having fun with something she clearly enjoys doing is a waste of time. I mean, what kind of friend does that? So for me, this brought up two thoughts. One, doing something you enjoy for the fun of it is never a waste of time if it brings you happiness. And two, their advice goes directly against one of Temple Grandin's main points in her book, The Unwritten Rules of Social Relationships, the gist of which is learn the difference between honesty and diplomacy and learn to use them appropriately. In this case, her friends could tell Pinkie Pie the gentler part of the truth, and that is that her volume of her music is causing some stress to others, so perhaps she could enjoy playing her Yavitaphone in her home. This allows them to diplomatically encourage her to take her music elsewhere, while also not ruining the enjoyment she gets from it. The honest truth is that her friends don't really like hearing her playing, but the other part of that truth is that Pinkie Pie enjoys it, and the enjoyment itself is worth something very real to her.
Lucky for us, after Pinkie Pie moved to Yakistan to hear the Yaks play, her friends did convince her to move back to Ponyville and keep playing, and that they were wrong for their actions. So that's a plus. Yet, this episode was a mess, and I'll explain some more on that here in just a minute. But presently, viewers, give a round of applause for my wonderful mother for her audio guest appearance. Moms are awesome. In fact, every autistic viewer with me today, if you have some parent or guardian watching with you at this moment, give them a big hug and tell them you love them. And if there isn't a parent or guardian present for now, once one makes themselves known, do as I told you. And don't forget, we would not be this far without our moms and dads working long hours to get us here. Matter of fact, all you neurotypicals do it too. Woo! Go moms! Getting back on point, I know I've really dedicated a lot of this week on this single episode, but I want to bring up a few more things to further back, or and perhaps contradict, my mom's words. Fellow brony Misanthropony brought up the fact that come the 8th season of the show, all the original writers in some of its earlier seasons were gone, and they hired a new cast that literally knew little to nothing about the show. And this is not to bash you, Hasbro or Discovery family, because you are both amazing companies. I agree with Misanthropony, but want to take what he said to new heights. Perhaps any one of these writers were autistic, and while we're masterful of storytelling, they could not really write about social situations too well. Anyways, the clues on the writers is just pure speculation on my end. But to go even further with the episode consuming most of this chapter, the main 6 did give Pinkie a reason to move back and continue to play. Where the problem lies is the fact that they were going to bring the same annoying hobby back. But what were they to do? They kind of ran out of options at that point and couldn't leave the party planner isolated in her state of depression. It's not nearly the fault of the characters for being such terrible friends to begin with, but the storytellers for not really being familiar with the show's environment. As far as Season 8 episodes go though, the plot was pretty decent. However, what sort of bothers me is that the Princess of Friendship literally just opened a school of friendship this season, where she and her 6 associates, including Starlight, are the only teachers of such a high role, profession, and expectation. And she, Rarity, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy were just going to give Pinkie some blatant diplomatic baloney. It's true that Twilight especially has a lot to learn, probably more than her fellow peers, which is something we will cover later on. But just for now, understand she is the one mostly left to make the tough decisions, like telling Pinkie the truth. Because as Applejack reminded her, the last time she didn't tell the truth, which wasn't too long ago to this latest issue, disaster struck. So Twilight let her guard down and acted anti-diplomatic. I did say that the other 5 tried telling Pinkie, but 3 of them threw hesitative responses in a term my dad likes to use, beating around the bush, aka exactly what Rainbow Dash, Applejack, and Rarity did. And with that, it all eventually fell into Twilight, who may be the leader, but I feel Pinkie wasn't the only one who was wrong in this scenario. And in case you are wondering about the other pony, Fluttershy, Pinkie's bagpipe playing kept her and her animals awake all night the previous night. So naturally she didn't speak at all until they thought they had resolved the issue with the party planner. Beyond all this, 1. Not every member of the main 5 spoke the truth, even though it was the intention of all 5 to relay this to their other friend together. And 2. Applejack had previously found herself dealing with an honesty versus diplomacy issue. So to let Twilight go through with this, it's almost like she didn't really learn anything at all. Well, I'm going to stop ranting and making a full-on analysis now, because in writing this last paragraph, the realization of how much I'm stretching this episode, as well as this week's autistic chapter, came to me. And while it is true that putting as much detail into anything is good for any area of writing, if I kept going with every little issue this episode has to offer, we'd be here for days. Days! But more important than that, and somewhat relevant, I have learned something. Progression. I had previously been fixated in finding the faults in characters when it came to finding social clues, that I haven't even paused and thought about how there could be a way of making positive conclusions as well. Which is why I again commend the main 5 for realizing where they went wrong and showing Pinkie why she means so much to them. after she fell into a depression, made the executive decision to move away from her friends and her home, and etc. and all that jazz. Of all the characters I brought forth so far, I feel as though Pinkie Pie is the strongest autistic candidate. We picked something special at Sugar Cube Corner today with all the various ingredients and all. Wait, I'm actually laughing it now. Mission accomplished! In all seriousness, though, I think this week is my favorite for various reasons. The first being, I feel as though I got to engage my audience a substantial amount. And other reasons include the fact that we've covered so much, probably more this week than ever before, and how I might be bragging a bit, but the visuals self-implemented and edited were, well, awesome, as well as just straight up creative. To wrap this up, if you are artistic and today is your birthday, the first to comment my birthday or some simple variation of that gets their comment pinned and gets special birthday wishes from yours truly. Oh shoot, sorry dear viewer, but I'm actually late for a party thrown by the party pony herself, so I'll have to read all those comments later. Again, thanks for watching. You guys are truly amazing and I love you.